If you've been to this website before, you know we're a big fan of new technology, especially when you can use it in relation to old cars and motorcycles and aeroplanes. You've all seen those cryogenic things, you know, the monster comes out of the nitrogen and he's freezing and all that. A little bit of that technology here. There are no monsters involved, but it's pretty cool because it's an American company based in my home state of Massachusetts, and we like to promote American technology when we can. I think I understand this. I'm not sure I do. It essentially involves lowering the temperature of metal to make it stronger. And let's bring know what they're talking about here. Rick and Zane, come on in, guys. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, Jay.
Okay, now tell us the name of your company.
Well, we have several companies. Okay. My company is Controlled Thermal Processing.
Okay.
It's been around about 25 years.
All right. And yours is?
My company, represented as Precision Fleet Brakes.
Okay.
We specifically use this technology to provide brakes to the fleet industry for longer.
Okay, so a normal brake rotor at 10,000 miles would show X amount of wear. Once it goes through the cryogenic process, would show literally almost no wear or a much smaller amount?
It would show about 4 times less wear on average.
Okay, so 4 times.
For our products that we
So basically, your brakes will last 4 times longer using this process. So going back to my science teacher, the colder you get something, the closer the atoms get together. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'm on the right track here.
Yeah.
So how cold does this get?
Well, this machine will bring things down to 300 degrees below zero.
300 degrees. So that's pretty cold.
That's pretty cold.
That's jacket weather.
But in Massachusetts, we have one that'll go down to 450 degrees below zero.
Okay.
That's almost absolute zero.
You take an engine block, you put it through. Do I have to hone my cylinders? Do I change my piston and my rings or anything again? Does anything?
Well, the best time to do this is during a rebuild, and you would do it before the final machining.
Okay.
Now
so before the final machining.
Yes.
Okay.
And
it would make it harder to machine, though, afterwards.
No, it'll actually be easier to machine because what we're doing is making the metal more uniformly hard. So your cutting tool is going through a more uniform surface, and you'll get better surface finish.
Okay.
And you will find it machines actually easier.
Okay.
And it's hard for people to get because we're making it abrasion resistant, yet it cuts easier.
So why are more people not aware of this? I mean, I've heard of this process, but it's always been in sort of mystical terms. I mean, are they doing it in NASCAR now?
We have parts on over half the NASCAR starting field.
Okay. So this is something that people are just sort of becoming aware of. The technology's been around since what, World War II?
Yes, the Germans developed it in the 1930s for the Junkers engines.
Yeah, you saw what happened to them. That's right. Now, I always remember seeing an episode, I think it was of a Battlestar Galactica or some such place, and they're in deep space, and it's 300 something degrees below zero, and they take a piece of steel and they go bink, and they hit it with a hammer, and it just shatters. That make any sense? You know what I'm talking about? So see, I think to somebody watching this, I think, why wouldn't that happen? If I took it out of there and I went bing, would it break? Or do you have to, when it cools down, the structure changes?
Well, the structure changes, and you're not going to break it unless you take it out at 300 degrees below zero and hit it.
So show us what we have here. It's a stainless steel tub, obviously.
It's basically a thermos bottle.
Okay, big thermos bottle. Okay.
So if we were to open it up.
Okay. There you go. I will climb in now. Okay, you're right. It's a big. I see. Okay, it looks mad scientisty. So what I would do is I would essentially just take a brake rotor like this, right? What, I place it in here?
Yes, it would be placed in the machine.
Just place in the machine. I shut it. I turn it on like it's a microwave. I set it for. Do I set it? Does the machine sense somehow, or how does it work?
Well, we have
that was a dumb
programs.
question. See, he was laughing at my question.
We have different programs in this control. This is a control that would be used very much like a heat treating oven.
If I'm someone and I have a car, is it cheaper for me just to buy another set of rotors? Or is the process so expensive that...
The process is efficient. For individual brake rotors, Rick would do something like an individual part. We retail, on the Precision Fleet Brake side, we retail our own line of brake rotors.
I see.
So so our cost for actually manufacturing it is one thing, and the cost for treating it and what Rick would charge someone would probably be another thing. So Rick would be able to answer that question.
Typically, a walk-in customer would pay about $35 to have a rotor done.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad at all. See, I didn't know it was $350, $3,500, or $35. Yeah, you could have screwed me right there. I was going to pay a couple $100, $35.
But
Fair.
you're not typical.
And obviously, you get your nitrogen from.
Local suppliers,
Right, okay.
it's usually welding shops, or if you buy a lot of nitrogen like we do, we talk to the supplier who actually makes it and sells it to the welding suppliers, buy it directly.
We have I've entered into a marketing agreement with Air Liquide, and they're just marvelous in trying to help us advance this. They're helping us do research. They're helping us get the word out that this is a good process to use.
Well, it's fascinating. So let's say I put those brake rotors in. I just walk through what I would do. Okay, put the brake rotor in. What do you do now? Shut the top.
We shut the lid.
Okay. Is there any sort of
Just very carefully close it.
And of course, you could put about 100 brake rotors in here.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's it. It's sealed. You don't have to. There's no. Okay.
You'd open up the nitrogen knob.
Right.
So nitrogen's flowing through the system.
Okay.
You would turn on your system. You'd tell it to what temperature you wanted to go to and what program you wanted it to run, and then you'd tell it to run.
Okay. Now these come in different sizes?
Yes.
Now what size? Is this a large, a medium? What would this be?
This is a medium.
A medium, okay. Oh, so there's a smaller one, huh?
Yes, there's a smaller one. It's called a CP200.
And how much would that be?
That one's about $33,000.
Okay, so that's big enough to hold an engine block or something of that nature?
Yes, it would hold a V8 engine block.
Okay, so anybody that's got a small shop and just doing things on a part-by-part basis, that would be the way to go, huh?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so in a restoration shop, $33,000, it's a lot of money, but it's less than a CNC machine, and it's less than the water jet cutter. And then you go up to, how much would this model be?
This model is about $46,500.
46,000. Okay, and then you have a really big one that you just drive the vehicle in and freeze the whole thing.
Yes.
Well, big drive-in freezer.
Yeah, we have one that's
cool.
that's a 1,200, so it's a little over twice this size as far as volume is concerned.
Well, then the small one's what, about just a little bit smaller than this dimensionally?
It's a smaller diameter and it's a little bit shorter.
Okay. Well, let's start with your website. If people want to find out more about it, your website is what?
It's www.metal-wear.com.
Okay. And if they want to get brake rotors from you, now are your brake rotors mostly, are they passenger cars, trucks, or everything?
It's fleet vehicles,
Okay.
police cars.
Okay. But I mean
passenger
Ford,
vans,
Chevys.
Ford,
Okay.
Chevy,
Okay.
Isuzu.
Right.
We are www.precisionfleetbrakes.com.
Okay. Well, very cool. Well, gentlemen, it's
cool.
It's cool. It's not cool. It's cool. Well, it is fascinating technology. It's one of those things, you know, my ears perked up when you said you can extend the life of your 26 Pierce Arrow, and anybody with an old small block Corvette, original numbers, anything like that you want to make last a long time, this seems like the perfect way to do it. So, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
having us,
much.
Jay.
Check out those two websites. Very cool. Cool.